Top 10 movie video games? That don't suck. What is up, bros? It's your boy V, back with another video. And this time, we're diving deep into the realm of video games based on movies. Now, we all know how this usually goes, right? 9 times out of 10, it's a dumpster fire of epic proportions. But fear not, my friends, because today we're focusing on the exceptions, the diamonds in the rough, the top 10 movie-based video games that actually don't make you want to rip your hair out. We're talking about games that took inspiration from the big screen and somehow managed to not only do them justice, but in some cases even surpass the source material. So buckle up, grab your snacks, and let's get this show on the road. First up, we're hitting you with a classic, the one and only GoldenEye 007 for the N64. Let's be real, this game was a straight-up revolution in gaming. Back in the day, you popped this cartridge in, and bam! You weren't just watching James Bond, you were James Bond. From the iconic locations like the facility and the dam, to the satisfying pew-pew of the silenced PP-7, GoldenEye nailed the atmosphere and the action. And let's not forget the multiplayer, my dudes. This game single-handedly launched 1,000 basement battles, turning friends into enemies and back again, all thanks to the magic of proximity mines and golden guns. GoldenEye wasn't just a game, it was a cultural phenomenon. It was the game that made you sneak extra playtime when your parents weren't looking. It was the game that sparked countless arguments over who got to be Oddjob. No one likes Oddjob, by the way, just saying. But most importantly, it proved that movie-based games didn't have to suck. They could actually be, dare I say it, good? Groundbreaking. Next up, we're blasting off to a galaxy far, far away with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR for us cool kids. Now, this wasn't your typical movie tie-in. Instead of just recreating the films, KOTOR took us back thousands of years before the Skywalker saga, giving us a fresh story in a familiar universe. And let me tell you, what a story it was. BioWare, the masterminds behind RPG classics like Baldur's Gate, really outdid themselves with this one. We're talking deep characters, branching storylines, lightsaber battles, force powers, all the good stuff that makes Star Wars so epic. But what really set KOTOR apart was its choice system. Every decision you made, from the smallest dialogue option to the fate of entire planets, shaped your destiny and determined whether you walked the path of the Jedi or succumbed to the dark side. It was like playing through your own personal Star Wars movie, and it was glorious. Hold on to your web shooters, folks, because we're swinging into action with Spider-Man 2. This game wasn't just about web slinging. It was about feeling what it was like to be Spider-Man. Remember that first time you launched yourself off a skyscraper and soared through the concrete jungle? Pure magic, right? But Spider-Man 2 was more than just a pretty face. It had substance, too. The story was engaging, the voice acting was top-notch. Thanks, Toby. And the combat was surprisingly deep. You could web up enemies, swing them around, disarm them with your webs. It was a blast. And let's not forget the open world. New York City felt alive with random crimes to stop, citizens to save, and pigeons to, well, you know, it was the ultimate power fantasy, and it still holds up remarkably well today. LOTR The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, hack and slash your way to Mordor. Our journey continues to Middle-earth with the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Now, I know what you're thinking. A Lord of the Rings game? That's gotta be boring, right? Wrong. This game took the epic battles from the movies and turned them into a hack and slash extravaganza. You could play as Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli, each with their own unique fighting style and special abilities. Want to rain down arrows on hordes of orcs as Legolas? Go for it. Prefer to cleave through enemies with Gimli's axe? Be my guest. The combat was visceral, the environments were stunning, and the soundtrack was pure epicness. It was like stepping right into the movies, except you gotta be the one slaying orcs and trolls. What's not to love? ISO Alien Isolation. Nope, nope, nope. Next up, we're switching gears to something a little more intense. Get ready to face your fears with Alien Isolation. This game took the claustrophobic horror of Ridley Scott's Alien and cranked it up to 11. Forget about pulse-pounding action. This game was all about survival. You played as Amanda Ripley, Ellen Ripley's daughter, as she explored the Sevastopol space station. which just so happened to be infested with a xenomorph. And let me tell you, this wasn't your typical video game monster. This thing was smart, cunning, and relentless. You couldn't just blast it away with a shotgun. You had to outsmart it, evade it, and pray to whatever deity you believed in that it didn't find you. The atmosphere was thick with dread. The sound design was phenomenal, and the xenomorph itself was terrifyingly realistic. If you're a fan of horror games, Alien Isolation is a must-play. Just don't blame me if you can't sleep with the lights off afterward. Mad Max Fury Road, Mad Max the game. Get ready to enter a world of fire, sand, and vehicular manslaughter with Mad Max. Now, while not directly tied to Fury Road, this game perfectly captured the spirit of the Mad Max universe. It was brutal, it was gritty, and it was a whole lot of fun. You played as Max, obviously, as he roamed the wasteland, scavenging for supplies, upgrading his ride, and battling hordes of crazed wasteland raiders. The car combat was the real star of the show, allowing you to ram, blast, and blow up your enemies in spectacular fashion. But Mad Max wasn't just about mindless violence. It had a surprisingly deep crafting system, allowing you to upgrade your car, your weapons, and even Max himself. Plus, the open world was massive and filled with things to do, from side quests to races to just driving around and admiring the desolate beauty of it all. X-Men Origins Wolverine, when the game's better than the movie. Okay, let's be real, the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie? Not so great. But you know what was great? The game. It was like the developers took one look at the movie and said, nah, we can do better. And boy, did they ever. This game let you unleash Wolverine in all his feral glory. We're talking claws-out, blood-soaked, adamantium-fueled rage. The combat was brutal, the healing factor was awesome, and you could even skewer enemies on your claws and fling them across the screen. It was everything a Wolverine game should be. Sure, the story wasn't anything to write home about, but who cares when you get to be a badass mutant with claws that can cut through steel? Next up, we're diving into the dark and gritty world of the Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay. This game took the cult classic Pitch Black and expanded on it, giving us a deeper look into the life of everyone's favorite Furion. You played as Riddick naturally, as he used his unique blend of stealth, combat, and those awesome glowing eyes to escape from the infamous Butcher Bay prison. The atmosphere was fantastic. The stealth gameplay was tense and rewarding, and Vin Diesel even lent his voice to the character, which was pretty cool. It was a great example of a game that took a relatively obscure movie and turned it into a memorable gaming experience. Can you dig it? We're throwing it back to the 1970s with The Warriors, a game based on the cult classic movie of the same name. This game wasn't just a beat-em-up, it was a love letter to 1970s New York, complete with gang warfare, graffiti-covered subways, and a killer soundtrack. You played as Cleon, the leader of the Warriors, as you fought your way through rival gangs and tried to clear your name after being framed for a murder you didn't commit. The combat was fast-paced and brutal, and you could even recruit members of your gang to help you out in fights. Plus, the open world was surprisingly detailed, allowing you to explore the different boroughs of New York and get into all sorts of trouble. Last but not least, we're busting out the proton packs and trapping some ghosts with Ghostbusters the video game. This game was basically the Ghostbusters 3 we never got, featuring the original cast, the original writers, and all the slime-covered, proton-blasting goodness you could ask for. You played as a rookie Ghostbuster, joining the iconic team as they battled a new supernatural threat that was terrorizing New York City. The gameplay was a fun mix of puzzle solving, exploration, and ghost-busting action. And the story was actually pretty funny, with plenty of nods to the original movies. Ghostbusters. The video game was a love letter to the franchise, and it showed that even after all these years, bustin' still makes us feel good. So there you have it, bros! Our top 10 movie-based video games that actually don't make you want to rage quit. These games proved that with a little bit of love, care, and maybe a sprinkle of magic, you can turn a movie into an amazing gaming experience. They captured the spirit of their source material while also standing on their own 2 feet, delivering hours of entertainment and proving that not all movie games are destined for the bargain bin. From the groundbreaking multiplayer of GoldenEye 007 to the immersive world of Spider-Man 2 to the sheer terror of Alien Isolation, these games set a high bar for future adaptations. So the next time you're browsing the game store and you see a movie tie-in, don't immediately dismiss it. You might just be surprised at what you find. Until next time, bros, stay awesome.